Hey, what's going on, guys? June here with Hapa英会話, and joining me today we have Niall, John, and Veronica. How you guys doing today?
Good, thank you.
Wonderful, thank you.
So today I want to talk about some of the interesting things you guys find about either living in Japan or visiting Japan. 今日はですね、日本の文化についてお話をしたいと思います。実は今日ここにいる先生たちは結構長いこと日本に住んでいる講師が2名、そして1年間日本に住んだことのある先生なので、みんなが日本に住みながら日本のこれが面白いなと思ったことについて話してもらいたいと思います。So we have Niall who has been living in Japan for 17 years. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
And we have John, who's been there for 21 years now.
That's right, 21 years.
21 years. And Veronica, you've been there for 1 year, or you lived there for 1 year.
Yes.
All right. So who wants to start this one off today? Any volunteers?
I'll go.
All right, let's go with John. Go ahead.
Okay, well, one thing that really confused me a lot when I first came to Japan were the numbers of floors. So in a big building in Britain, we have a ground floor, where in Japan it's the first floor. So ground floor is at street level, and then first floor is the next one up, and it goes up and up and up. And when I first arrived in Japan, whenever I went to a big department store and I wanted to leave, I'd go down the escalators and I'd see one and think, I have to go down one more and I'll be at street level. But I always ended up in the basement.
In the parking lot, right?
Yeah,
Usually.
basically, yeah. And
yeah.
This happened for at least 1 year. I couldn't get used to it. Obviously now I'm used to it, but that was a really confusing thing for me.
Well, let me ask Veronica on this one, because I think in the United States it's very similar to Japan. I think when you're talking about the ground floor, it's usually the first floor, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think in this case, America's more similar to Japan. I don't remember getting too confused, but I can see how that would be confusing. If that was the case, I would probably be lost like every day.
Yeah, for my first year, basically, I was lost every day.
Yeah. All right. Veronica, how about you? Interesting things about Japan.
So I'm not sure about the other countries' people here, but I was surprised that there's no tips. In America, you have to pay like 15% of your bill to tip, or 20% sometimes. So it's interesting when you go to Japan, you just pay for the food and not the service. So that was a little interesting for me when I was in Japan.
How did you feel when you went to Japan and every time you went to the restaurant? Because I think like as an American, you just automatically like feel like you have to like leave a little bit of money.
Yes.
And especially when the service is really good. And you know, in Japan, you know, the service is
always really good.
Amazing, right? So you like, there's always like, there was always a part of me where I felt like I want to give you something, you know, for such an amazing service that you guys offered us today. Did you ever kind of feel like you like wanted to give them something, but you had to like almost like stop yourself from giving them money?
Yes, all the time, especially like what you said, the service in Japan is so good and friendly. So you're like, can I just give you a little bit? But no. Because in America, even if the service is bad, you still usually have to give a tip.
All right. Niall, how about you?
Well, kind of leading on from that service topic is I found it amazing that you get lots of greetings in all the stores. So when I went home to Ireland for a holiday, I kind of missed that you go into a store and you become conditioned to expect it every time you go to a store. No matter what the level of the store is, it could be a very, very small corner shop Obasan selling vegetables, or it could be the best Eon or Kintetsu or something store. They'll always say irashimasen. They'll always greet you, and they'll always say come again in Japanese. But in the Western world, in Ireland, it's hit or miss. You could go into a store, and a corner store, they'll just tell you how much it costs. They won't even say thank you sometimes. They just say €5. And they go, oh, no thank you, no please. No, nothing. They just, it's like that. So that's exactly like what you're saying with the tips. Yeah, you want to tip people here because no matter if they love their job or they hate their job, they must be polite, and a welcome difference of Japanese culture.
Maybe we'll go one more round here then. Is there anything else you guys have found unique, interesting about the Japanese culture, or it could be about Japanese people too? John, looks like you have plenty.
I have a lot. One thing I really love, so in Britain and in Japan, I love riding on trains, and I love the Shinkansen. But one thing about the Shinkansen that always amazes me whenever I ride it is I reserve my seat and I get onto the Shinkansen and nobody is sitting in my seat. Nobody tries to steal it. In England, if you reserve a seat on a train, 90% of the time someone will be sitting there and you will have to ask them to please move. And you feel as if you're the bad person asking them to move. But that's never happened to me in Japan, and it's always a surprise. I get onto the Shinkansen, my seat is empty, my seat is clean, I just sit down and I'm comfortable.
Just following rules in general, I think in Japan, they do such an amazing job, right? If you're not supposed to be sitting there, you're not gonna sit there, right? Yeah. Veronica, anything else you noticed?
I put punctuality, so being on time to things. Not only like trains and buses, but also just people being on time to things. California is chill, laid back. You know, if you're 5 minutes late, that's totally fine. But in Japan, I feel like you have to be on time for meetings, and the train is always on time too. Which it never is in America. So that was something I really appreciated about living in Japan.
Adding to that, there's I mean, obviously my mom is Japanese and I grew up in the Japanese culture, but when I went to Japan, you know, there was something that really surprised me. And, you know, it's one thing to be on time. It's another to be on time in a crowded city like Tokyo, where everything, you know, it's super hard to like find that little restaurant that you're trying to get at. But it seems like every Japanese person finds a way to get there like 10 to 15 minutes early. And I know a lot of people, they will go and find the restaurant like the day or two before. They'll actually go to the restaurant, see where it's at, to make sure that they are not late to the actual dinner or event. It's called shitami in Japanese, but here in the United States, you will not find one American that will go out of their way, spend their time to look at the restaurant or the venue the day before, so they won't be late on the day of, right? I thought that was crazy. I think that's very, it's impressive,
The American style is you're still laying in bed sleeping and you say, oh, I'm on my way, don't worry. But you're just sleeping in bed.
Showing up fashionably late in the United States.
I don't know about England, but in Ireland, we have a digital thing that tells you when the bus is coming. And progressively, the time gets longer. So you're, you're like, it's going to be here in 2 minutes. I'm going to make this. And then, hey, I just changed to 4 minutes. Oh, it's just changed to 7 minutes. And then 3 of the same bus come at the same time. You have your choice then. You're like, that one's a bit full. I'll go to the next one.
John, what else do you have?
I think it's the cuteness of everything. There's cute things everywhere. So in Britain too, you find cute things, but some things are cute and some things have to be serious. A thing that really surprised me when I first arrived in Japan is when I opened a bank account and they gave me my bank book. And on the front of the bank book, there was a cartoon of a mouse, a very cute mouse. And I couldn't believe that something as serious as a bank book would have this cute mouse on it. And I love that. So even though things are serious, here, there's still room for cuteness and happy things. So I really like that part of Japanese culture.
I totally get that. Like even when you go to the train station, they have all those posters about like, you know, not running into the train because when the door is closing because you might like hurt somebody, but they have all these like cute drawings with like animals and stuff. Like they always make it cute somehow.
That's right. Yeah.
Veronica, any last ones you want to end this with?
The last thing I just had was portion sizes. Feel in America we quite big portion sizes of food, whereas in Japan it's much smaller. Although in America, to-go boxes is more popular than in Japan. I don't even know if that's a thing in Japan, but yeah, you get a lot of food in America compared to Japan.
Did you guys get used to the portions in Japan? When I first moved to Japan, that was one of the hardest things for me to get used to was some of the smaller portions. And it kind of depends on the places you go to too. Like you go to like a ramen shop and pay, you know, $600 or $700 and you get a nice bowl of ramen that'll fill you up.
True.
But there are certain places where you, like I remember, this is not food, but like when you get like a glass of water, it's like a shot of water. I'll literally go in on a really hot summer day where it's like really hot and I just want like a big glass of like ice water and you get like this little tiny thing. And I just wish that sometimes it was a little bit bigger. But how about for you guys? Was the portions just perfect for you guys, or was this something that it took a while to get used to?
For me, the portions were always okay. Except at first, meat portions, because meat seemed to be so little in Japan. I remember going to a curry rice restaurant the first time, and there were 3 tiny pieces of beef in the curry, and I was thinking, well, where's the meat? You know? But I got used to that very quickly, and I appreciate the portions now.
All right. Well, that was another fun conversation, guys. And to everybody watching this, I hope you guys enjoyed our conversation about all of the interesting things in Japan.